Behind the Line, episode number 52. I'm your host, KC. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Make sure to click that notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. I appreciate those that have already done so. The subscriber numbers have jumped a good bit in the past week or so I really appreciate those of you that have subscribed already. I'm going to open this morning talking about the future of a couple of NFL quarterbacks. Well, one NFL quarterback and the other a very highly likely future NFL quarterback. I'm going to start this morning with Joe Burrow, former quarterback at LSU. Ever since the Cincinnati Bengals clinched the number one pick in the NFL draft, I have been screaming at the top of my lungs that Joe Burrow should make it clear that he would pull an Eli Manning and refuse to play with the Cincinnati Bengals. There are certain franchises in the NFL that if you're a young quarterback, you want to avoid them if at all possible. The Bengals are at the top of that list. Carson Palmer has publicly warned Joe Burrow through the media about playing in Cincinnati. He wasted the majority of his career, his entire prime, for an owner and a franchise that were not committed to winning. Specifically, not committed to winning a Super Bowl. Now, I know fans in Cincinnati don't like hearing this, but it's the truth. The Bengals haven't won a fucking playoff game since 1990. They went 15 years, from 1991 to 2015, without making the playoffs. They had some moderate success in the Marvin Lewis era, if you could call it that, but they could never get over the hump and win a playoff game. Marvin Lewis was 0-7 in the postseason. Never made it past the wild card round. Why is that? The fucking franchise is not committed to winning. And it starts with Mike Brown, the 84-year-old owner. You look at successful teams in this league. They learn from their mistakes. They don't repeat them. The Bengals don't do that. You had Chad Johnson for years, or Ocho Cinco, as he liked to call himself like a fucking idiot, causing a distraction on this team for years. So what do the Bengals do? They bring in another distraction receiver well past his prime in Terrell Owens. They allowed Marvin Lewis to remain as head coach on this team for way too long. It was clear to everyone that the team was not getting it done under Marvin Lewis. His teams weren't just losing in the playoffs. They were getting blown out, most of the time at home, losing by an average of 12 points a game in the postseason. The Bengals haven't been to the playoffs in 4 years. They're 21-42 since 2016. It is a culture of losing. The Bengals have been in the NFL for 52 years. They've had 14 playoff appearances. So if you're Joe Burrow, you ask yourself, why the fuck would I want to start my career in the place where careers go to die? Think about it. If Joe Burrow decides to sign with Cincinnati, if they draft him at number one, he is locked in to this franchise for 7 years. After his initial rookie contract comes up, he becomes a restricted free agent. The Bengals can match any offer he receives from other teams. Why the fuck would you want to spend the first 7 years of your career in a league where playing careers are extremely short with an organization that has proven time and time again that it's not committed to winning? I'm starting to believe Joe Burrow is having these same type of thoughts. Something he said earlier this week revealed to me that maybe, just maybe, he's thinking about pulling an Eli Manning and refusing to sign with Cincinnati. Listen to what he told the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Quote, "I do have leverage. They," he's meaning the Bengals, "have their process and I have my process. We haven't even gotten to the NFL Combine yet. There's a lot of things that happen leading up to the draft and a lot of information gathered," end quote. I found all of that to be very revealing. But that one line, "I do have leverage," says it all. He was also non-committal when asked if he wanted to go to Cincinnati. This is the first time throughout this process that I've heard Joe Burrow seem hesitant about playing for the Bengals. Who could fucking blame him? Cincinnati is the equivalent to the New York Knicks in the NBA. But at least the Knicks are in a great market. New York City is a great city to live in. But Cincinnati, bad ownership, culture of losing, young, unproven head coach, limited talent offensively, especially with A.J. Green expected to be leaving in free agency. If Joe Burrow were drafted number 1 and he decided to go to Cincinnati, he would have the pressure of turning around a franchise that can't be turned around because the owner isn't committed to winning. His career in the NFL would be over before it started. All right, Drew Brees has confirmed that he will be back in New Orleans for the 2020 season. And this really comes as no surprise to anyone. We all knew it was highly unlikely that Brees was going to step away, especially with how well he's played the last 2 or 3 years and the dismal performance at home in the playoffs against Minnesota. He wasn't going out like that. I talked last week about what the Saints should do with Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill. So I'm not going to get too deep into that again here. If you want to hear my opinion on that, check out the video titled, "Who Will Be the Saints Quarterback in 2020?" It's available on my YouTube channel. I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to leave in free agency, and Sean Payton will use the 2020 season to groom Taysom Hill to become the starter in 2021. Drew Brees has played year to year pretty much every season since 2017. But for the first time, I truly believe that 2020 will be his last NFL season. And here's the reason I say that. He's made it clear that he will only play for the Saints. He's not going to play anywhere else. And the Super Bowl window is slowly closing for New Orleans. The defense is not getting any younger. Cam Jordan getting older. Demario Davis getting older. After this upcoming season, the Saints have several key players that are going to be coming up for contract extensions. Alvin Kamara, Marshawn Lattimore. They're going to need the cap space to keep them, especially a guy like Lattimore, who's one of the best cover corners in the NFL. The Saints aren't going to be able to keep them if they're paying Drew Brees $25-30 million in 2021. Especially when you already have guys like Cam Jordan and Michael Thomas eating up a big chunk of your salary cap. So I see Drew Brees retiring after this upcoming season and Taysom Hill taking over beginning in 2021. I think Sean Payton will use Hill as a passer more this upcoming season than he has the past couple of years. Taysom Hill has only thrown 15 passes in his NFL career. I could actually see him starting a game or two in the middle of the season. I don't think it went unnoticed that Drew Brees was far more efficient late in the season because he had that 5-week break. All right, switching gears to the NBA. The rich keep getting richer in Los Angeles, but it continues to not be the Los Angeles Lakers that are getting better. It's the redheaded stepchild that shares the same building with them, the Los Angeles Clippers. Jerry West continues to prove why he is the best in the NBA at what he does, running circles around Rob Pelinka in the same building. The deepest roster in the NBA just added a valuable piece to its second unit, as they went out and signed guard Reggie Jackson after he agreed to a buyout with the Pistons. I said this before the season started, I've said it all season, and I'm definitely not backing off saying it right now. The Lakers may be the current number 1 seed in the Western Conference, but they're not even the number 1 team in their own building. The Lakers don't stand a chance against the Clippers in a 7-game series. I think the Lakers actually lost in their trade with New Orleans last summer. They mortgaged their future for a possible 1-year rental of Anthony Davis, because there's a chance AD doesn't sign long-term with the Lakers this summer. Everything is all sunshine and lollipops right now in the Lakers locker room. But once the playoffs start, the Lakers are in real trouble. I didn't see a team in the league before they acquired Marcus Morris and Reggie Jackson that could beat the Clippers in a 7-game series. After the acquisitions, they might as well just hand the title to Kawhi Leonard and company. Who is going to beat them? Milwaukee? No, they can't match the depth. The Clippers have a starting point guard now coming off of their fucking bench. Reggie Jackson will get big money this offseason to run the point for another team. And we saw last year in the playoffs that Kawhi can match up with Giannis and get him off his game. Now Giannis has got to put up with both Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Are the Denver Nuggets going to beat the Clippers? No. The Rockets? That's fucking laughable. Houston can't defend against a G League team, much less two of the best scorers in the NBA. And like I said, the Lakers don't stand a chance either. The Lakers are top heavy. They've got LeBron and AD, and that's it. Don't come at me with Kyle Kuzma either. He's unproven, especially in the playoffs. Who is the closer on this Lakers roster? It's not LeBron. LeBron's never been a closer. D-Wade was the closer in Miami. Kyrie was the closer in Cleveland. Go look at LeBron's career and look what happens when he doesn't have a closer on his team. He doesn't win a title. Anthony Davis is not a closer either. He's never been a closer. During New Orleans' playoff run in 2018, Drew Holiday was the closer on that team. AD puts up big numbers, but they're misleading. When the game is on the line, Anthony Davis disappears this season. This season in the fourth quarter, AD is averaging 4.6 points off 3.5 shots in the fourth quarter. And this guy's going to be your closer in the playoffs? Get the fuck out of here. We're witnessing the difference between a great general manager or advisor, as they call Jerry West in the Clippers organization, and a guy like Rob Pelinka that doesn't have a fucking clue. The Clippers are set up for success long term. The Lakers, on the other hand, are standing on a shaky foundation. They went all in on Anthony Davis last summer, and I think it's going to bite them in the ass long term. New Orleans has a young core with Zion Williamson, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart that could be together the next 5, 6, 7 years. And the Lakers could watch Anthony Davis walk away in free agency this summer, and it could realistically happen. AD has said it many times. He wants to win championships. That's not going to happen in Los Angeles playing alongside LeBron James. They're not going to be able to get past the team in their own city. The reality of the situation is the Lakers need more help, and they're not going to be able to get it. Superstar players don't want to play with LeBron James. They just don't. Kawhi and Paul George went to the Clippers for 2 reasons. One, they didn't want to play alongside LeBron and deal with the media circus that comes with it. And 2, they wanted to beat LeBron. Look what just happened with Reggie Jackson. He could have signed with the Lakers. He could have signed with any other team in the league. He chose the Clippers instead. But KC, Anthony Davis wanted to play with LeBron. Yeah, but Anthony Davis is not a superstar. I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds blasphemous, but it's the truth. He isn't a guy that can lead your team to a championship. Everyone blamed the Pelicans as an organization for not getting AD help his 7 years in New Orleans. And that's partially true. But they had an all-star guard in Drew Holiday. They went out and got DeMarcus Cousins. They had Aaron Gordon in Anthony Davis's early years. My point is, it wasn't like the Pelicans were lacking enough talent to make the playoffs. 5 of his 7 years in New Orleans with Anthony Davis, the Pelicans had a losing season. If you're a superstar level talent, you're supposed to be able to elevate your team. AD can't do that. He just can't. It's not in his DNA. The Lakers are in trouble in the playoffs. Making it to the Western Conference Finals isn't considered success for this team. You trade away the future of your franchise, you're sending the message that it's championship or bust. And the Lakers have a 0% chance to win the Western Conference, much less the NBA Finals. All right, for the first time in recent memory, Major League Baseball has finally found a way to achieve some sort of national relevancy. This whole Astros World Series cheating scandal is the first baseball story to be discussed widely on a national basis, probably since the steroid scandal 10, 15 years ago. I haven't talked about this story on this podcast for a couple of reasons. One, I don't really care about baseball. Two, most of you don't watch baseball. And three, I don't see this whole cheating scandal as a big deal. The truth is, Major League Baseball has been dying a slow, painful death in this country for the past 20 years. Attendance down. Don't believe the baseball purists when they tell you more people attend baseball games than NFL and NBA games. That's bullshit. It's fucking obvious. There's 2,430 baseball games in the regular season compared to 1,230 for the NBA, 256 for the NFL. Of course they're going to have higher attendance numbers. The truth is, attendance in Major League Baseball has declined by nearly 12 million people from 2007 to 2019. Television ratings, down. Playoff ratings, down. World Series ratings, down. The wild card, which is basically a one-and-done series, theoretically should be two of the most exciting games of the Major League Baseball season. Ratings were down 30% in 2019. I saw a statistic the other day that tells you all you need to know about the declining popularity of Major League Baseball in the United States. Back in the 1990s, early 2000s, baseball had stars. I'm talking about real stars. Derek Jeter, Deion Sanders, Barry Bonds, Mike Piazza, Ken Griffey Jr., Greg Maddux, John Smoltz. I could go on and on. It's been over 20 years, and I can still name those guys off the top of my head. The truth is, baseball used to be a fun game to watch. It used to be exciting. Those guys were memorable. YouGov did a study on active sports personalities and the percentage of Americans who have heard of them. They picked the top star in each sport. 91% of Americans have heard of LeBron James. 88% have heard of Tom Brady. Mike Trout, baseball's most popular player, supposedly. Only 43% of Americans have heard of him. Less than half the country knows who Mike Trout is. That should tell you all you need to know about the declining popularity of Major League Baseball. I am a sports fanatic when it comes to the NFL and NBA, and just about all sports in general. If Mike Trout were sitting on my couch, I wouldn't know who the fuck he is. Baseball has become a local game. It's popular in Chicago, Boston, New York, Los Angeles, St. Louis. But people in those cities only care about their respective teams. A Cubs fan in Chicago isn't watching a game in June between Oakland and Tampa. But a Bears fan in Chicago will watch a Week 2 NFL game between the Browns and the Steelers. I will say, Major League Baseball is very popular in local markets. It is. They get high ratings in certain cities. But the problem is, the league is not popular on a national level. So what happens when the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Cubs don't make the playoffs? No one watches. Why? Because the teams haven't been broadcast nationally, so no one cares. 100% of the country gets to see at least 25% of the games that Tom Brady plays in the regular season. 98% of the country gets to see at least a quarter of the games that LeBron James plays. 1% of America has access to at least 25% of Mike Trout's games. 1%. This is the problem when you're a professional sports league with a local market mentality. We tune into sports to see star players. When the baseball playoffs come around, most people can't name one fucking player involved because they haven't seen a playoff season because the games aren't on national TV. Baseball has a real problem. Think about it. The two biggest stories in Major League Baseball in the past 15 years is this Astros cheating scandal and the steroid scandal. Every July, NBA free agency dominates the airwaves nationally. September to February, the NFL is dominating the headlines with story after story. Once every 10 years, we're talking about baseball on a national level. Only when there's a scandal. It's not about the game on the field. All right, that's all for today, guys. I'll be back this weekend. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Leave a 5-star rating on iTunes. Leave me a comment in the section below. Let me know what you think of the podcast, or you can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. I will see you this weekend.